Vince, tell me, when can I start podcasting and stop all this monster hunting all the time?
Okay, Matt, listen. How about this? I'll make you a deal. The next person that's on that TV when we turn it on, if you can make them into a podcast host for your podcast you want to do, within the next week, I'll let you out of your contract. You won't have to hunt monsters anymore, cryptids or whatever. But, if you can't, I got you for life.
Piece of cake! Couldn't be easier.
Okay.
Where hustle's the name of the game, and nice guys get washed away like the snow in the rain. Hell, there's been like a Rhinestone Cowboy. I'm gonna tell you about what I really don't like. Podcasts are really lame, and people that listen to them have like a podcast host now. Never be the co-host of a podcast ain't but Shotz. Like a podcast host now. Getting threats and hate from people I don't even know. And offers coming over the phone to not watch movies that suck.
Pat, you're screwed. You better get to work.
Hell yeah.
Yesterday. Well,
Podcast
good luck.
Sucks. They're the
You're gonna need
worst.
it.
I don't like them. They really smell. If you like those podcasts, you can burn it.
Well, guess we better get it over with.
It's of hell.
Welcome to the wonderful world of podcasting.
Hey, what are we supposed to do here?
Talk about some movies.
Okay.
Think you can handle that, newbie?
I guess we'll see.
Noob Cybot?
Yeah. I'm like, what's on tap this week? As if we didn't know.
Mike Week.
It's Country Week, at least from what you told me. Since this is our first episode.
Then how did you pick the movie?
First episode choice you gave to the person that is new. It's like, what? You've been waiting all this time.
You start out with a bang.
Yeah.
With Rhinestone.
So
And
speaking
Beverly
of
Hills
which,
Ninja.
yes. Or uh-oh.
Oops.
Yeah. So Rhinestone, which you should keep your nose to. Or that's the Grindstone. Fuck. And the Beverly Hillbillies movie.
Keep your nose to the Rhinestone.
And not the return of Beverly Hillbillies, which when I was like looking up stuff, apparently they did like, because back in the day they did that all the time where they try to get all the stars back for like one last hurrah. Like they did that with like, I think they did that with like Gilligan's Island like 20 times. It's like
Monsters.
Return, yeah, and like Return. It was always like Return because it was like Return to Mayberry. Like they did that too when they were older and stuff. I've never seen really any of those. I just know a lot of them exist because that was kind of a thing back then. But like,
They did that with Get Smart a couple times.
I can only assume that there was like diminishing returns for those, like people, because they were always TV movies for the most part. So, but that is not what this is. This is the remake. But am I doing good so far, boss?
Yeah.
Going off the rails here. So Rhinestone, there's like one person out of all the people that were polled that has seen this.
Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Because I'd never seen it.
Me neither. Yeah, usually lately I've been picking things I have seen, but like this one I was just like, okay, I want to do something. Like I said, this is like something that had been on my list.
That's crazy.
Since the beginning when we were doing this, because I was like, we'll see if it was worth it. And then the Beverly Hillbillies, everybody had seen that movie. I think I had when that well, yeah, that we pulled, unless you lied when you when you voted and
not me.
You didn't vote. I think this was a pretty big like hit, or well, big movie when it came out. Like everybody had heard of it, and or like and stuff like that. This was kind of Jim Varney was still popping off and shit. He was like
Jim Varney was popping off.
Yeah.
He's like Kobe.
Yeah. Everyone's like
Slam dunk Ernest.
Or wait, that was not Kobe. That was the other guy that died in the fucking... Was it? Anyway. Speaking of dying a death,
it's funny how you're like... Your excitement for this movie you project on the nation. Like, the nation was going wild with Beverly Hillbilly Fever. Jim Varney was the biggest star in the U.S.
Well, you even said, like, your whole family saw it except for you.
That's true.
I think everybody was at least aware that this was coming out. It was pretty well marketed.
It was one of the first, like, old TV shows that they
did a remake of
like
and stuff.
Updated for the 90s.
So, I think I want to start with Rhinestone first, though.
Okay.
I think we might find out why soon enough. So this...
The infamous Rhinestone.
Yeah. So this movie is like... The only thing I really knew about it was that, like, this movie was pretty infamous for being kind of a flop back in the day. And so going into it, I didn't really have any notions other than, oh, this might be kind of interesting because Dolly Parton can sing. She's, like, a great talent, and she's pretty charismatic, and Stallone's pretty charismatic, but I've never heard him sing. I know his brother sings.
Yeah, Frank Stallone.
Like, he's a pretty big singer and stuff like that. And after watching this, I was kind of like, maybe they should have got him instead.
I was thinking the same thing.
It wasn't the worst, but it was like, anyway.
Yeah.
So the music is, no shock. They played into the strengths here. Music by Dolly Parton. So like this whole movie, Rhinestone, is based off of the song Rhinestone Cowboy by Larry Weiss, and I was like, you only hear it like one time after she performs, and I was like, you would think that would be like the big song that he performs at the end, but like he sings some like weird song at the end that was like, I don't think it was weird because once Dolly Parton starts singing, it becomes a song, but like before he's like, I got full of trouble, and I'm like, huh? But the screenplay was by Sylvester Stallone and Phil Alden Robinson. So if anybody out there wants to be like, he, this or that, or they tried to do, he was acting a certain way, or he was doing this or that. It's like, he essentially made this film for himself.
Yeah.
So, this is...
Well, they said,
this is on him.
Like, he took that script. Who's the writer, the other writer?
Phil Alden Robinson.
Phil Alden Robinson wrote the script, and Stallone, like, basically changed everything, and he was going to take his name off the movie, but he thought that would be bad for his career, because, like, he hated what he did so much.
Oh, jeez.
But,
I mean, I think if one thing, because if anything, like, they were smart enough to be like Stallone played into like having Dolly Parton take the lead on the music and stuff. It wasn't like I don't think a vanity thing where he was like, I'm gonna write a bunch of songs, and then of course, like, since he had to sing in it, like, I don't think there was a way that they could get around that. But like,
yeah, it's not like he thinks he's looking awesome in this movie. Like,
right, this isn't like
he's being a buffoon.
Yeah, this isn't like when we watched what was it?
Ground.
Yeah, on Deadly Ground, and it was like what's his face? Steven Seagal couldn't like if this was a Steven Seagal movie, like, this would, like, whatever he was seeing, like, would be played with 100% seriousness, and like there would be no jokes made at his expense and stuff.
Yeah,
like, I think that's, regardless of how bad or good this movie is in somebody's eye, I think that's probably one thing I can at least give Stallone credit for, is that, like, he has no issues making fun of himself and, like, taking the piss out of himself. So
for sure,
I at least have some respect in that regard, because you know.
And now I want Steven Seagal to cover Drinkenstein.
At the end, he's like, oh, the troubled waters. And then he's just like, and least of all, Plankton. I'm like, what the fuck? He should just sing that in speech. The time that people were laughing at the test screening for that.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus.
Making obscene gestures.
This is like deadly serious. Dude, speaking of that, like where you were talking about audiences making obscene gestures for like a long time, this is off topic, but it is about movies where like randomly I saw like they're like the latest movie that was at Cannes got a 7-minute standing ovation, and I was like,
that's ridiculous.
I don't think I would give any movie I've ever seen like a minute standing ovation. Like,
not even Rhinestone?
well, nothing. Like, even Day of the Dead, like, what do I stand up there for like a fuck, yeah, whoa, yeah. Everyone's like, what are you fucking doing? The movie's over.
That's like a thing.
Yeah, it's just so stupid.
I
It's
agree.
like, might as well just suck the dude off right there. Or woman. So speaking of sucking, so Sylvester Stallone is a cab driver in this.
Mm-hmm.
This is the original Cash Cab. Because he's like a crazy driver. I don't know how this guy... They kind of play
Crazy
it like
Taxi.
Dolly Parton got him fired, but he got himself fired. Like, I don't understand that. There's a well, not a couple. There's more than a couple things in this movie that seem kind of like disjointed with reality as far as the script goes. But like, that was one of the first things that I was like, we might be in trouble here because up until this point, like, you've really just seen like Dolly Parton sing, and she's great. So like, it wasn't like I was like, oh shit. But like when that was going on, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This isn't making sense. Like you said, it makes a lot more sense now that you told me that like he took the screenplay and kind of just chopped it to bits.
He did an entire mountain of cocaine.
Yeah.
And then did this movie.
What'd you think about like when he comes back, when he's like driving the taxi and it's like fucking Looney Tunes style? It's like, and I'm like, what the fuck? He also like harasses these like Japanese tourists into like, he's like, you're in America, you gotta eat Italian. I was like, that's a pretty funny line, because it's like, what? What was I gonna say? Like, speaking of funny or not funny, this Freddy guy is like a complete creep. He's like trying to like bone fucking Dolly Parton from day one.
Very creepy character.
Yeah, it's like, this guy's like Leisure Suit Larry everything.
Yeah.
He's like magma cum laude.
Do you want me to read off the box office for this movie?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, so this movie came out in 1984, and it was 4th place opening weekend. And here are the other movies that were out at the time.
I think Karate
in
Kid
order.
was one of them, right?
Yeah. This is insane. Karate Kid came out the same day as Rhinestone. Number 1 was Ghostbusters.
Oh my god.
Number 2, Gremlins. 3, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Rhinestone. Karate Kid. Star Trek 3, Search for Spock. Top Secret. The Natural. Romancing the Stone. And Police Academy. That's amazing. Some big hitters there.
2 good movies. No. Yeah,
Rhinestone and
I think
Karate
like
Kid.
3 of those are like some of my top movies like of all time.
That's crazy.
Like Ghostbusters and what were some of the other ones? I completely blanked as soon as you Karate
You
Kid.
just feel like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters, Karate Kid, and
Gremlins, the classic.
no, it was
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. Yeah. So good stuff,
That's
man.
crazy.
Yeah. Gremlins is legit. I just haven't gone back and watched it in a while.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure like once we get around to watching all the Star Trek movies for the podcast, like, I'm sure I'll like that one. I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's got Christopher Lloyd's the villain.
As a Klingon, right?
Yeah.
Or is he?
Should we talk about Dolly Parton?
Yeah. I'm like, we haven't
this
yet.
is Dolly week.
Yeah. Truth. What do you have to say about her?
She's phenomenal. Like, she's a
Yeah.
American treasure.
Yeah.
It's a weird coincidence. Like, I just got this album a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
So I listened to it this week. Jolene.
Yeah, it's a good album.
This is like her breakout, I
Yeah.
guess. even though it was like her 27th album, which
Yeah.
is crazy. I guess she just cranked them out.
Yeah, she's like a true singer-songwriter. So
Yeah,
it's just
she's
like
her when she sings in this movie and Beverly Hillbillies, like
you're like, okay. Yeah, like
like the talent is instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
It's like holy, like
Yeah.
there's one scene where she's in her bedroom just playing guitar and
Yeah.
singing, and I'm like, this please, like
Yeah.
more of this. But this album has Jolene and I Will Always Love You,
Yeah. Thank
which
you, Matt.
Whitney turned into
Yeah.
an anthem. But
I thought you were talking to me. You're like, no, no.
like, and
You're carrying me and your arms break. Yeah, while I was watching this,
she's
I was
awesome,
like,
though.
I want to see, like, I don't know how many movies in her life she did, but, like, I would really like to pick some more
Yeah.
because I don't care what anybody else says. Like, I guess we'll get it out of the way now, but, like, I know you always watch, like, the Roger, or the Ebert and Siskel stuff, and I watched, both of them for this movie and the Beverly Hillbillies one, and I give a shout out to you. I'll give a shout out to you. You found like this channel that has all these re-uploaded ones and stuff, and they're in awesome quality and stuff. But I don't think there was enough like credit due to her, like for sure. Like,
Yeah.
she's
Even
so
in Rhinestone,
charismatic
like,
or whatever.
she doesn't embarrass herself, unlike
Right.
Stallone. She just
I feel like
comes out
Stallone is
unscathed.
just in this movie like he's doing like what like Bruce Willis was doing in like that other movie we watched where he was just going, balls to the
Yeah.
wall. And that's another movie that didn't do super great, but I don't know if I would say it was like Bruce Willis's acting that fucked up that movie, but
yeah.
I don't even know if I think a case could be made that like some of the stuff in this movie that he does is a little grating. Like when he's playing like the piano for the first time, it's like, what the fuck is this? It's almost like a deleted scene because like you can see like Dolly Parton like laughing and like looking around like at the camera and shit, and I was like, huh? So yeah, I don't know. It's a little it is also a little weird that like he lives above like a funeral home with his mom and dad, and like it seems that he's been around music because he has like they have like a pipe organ or whatever it is, and like I would think if you were gonna do something like this, you would like make it so this person was like more like a Rocky character that didn't have like any experience with music, or he sings like shit.
Yeah, he can't sing.
But like
He's just trying so hard to be
Yeah.
funny in this movie, like, but it doesn't work
the
at
the
all.
funniest parts are when he's like not trying and he's just
Yeah.
acting more like himself, or acting more like Rocky where he just gives like a quip.
He can be funny in movies.
Yeah.
This isn't one of them.
But it's just like there are parts in this that are like, oh, that's kind of funny, but like then there are parts like you said when he's going crazy, and it's like, dude, this is just like the kid that memorized Monty Python going nuts over here. It's like Bach. It's so weird because like in this movie there's a world that exists that's like essentially a stand-up comedy audience, but they're there to watch country music.
Yeah.
And they're in New York, which is like, this is blowing my mind that there's an audience that's that big in New York for country music, and they're being like, I think they're probably there because Dolly Parton's so good, but like anybody that goes on stage, they like shit on if it's not Dolly Parton, it seems like. And like the first guy that comes up actually isn't half bad, and then because they randomly start like laughing at him when he sings about how his actual like wife got chopped up to death, and I was like, what? Like, it was funny they were laughing, but I was like, how is this funny to the average person? Like, these people are fucking insane. Like, it's like the audience, like not the audience watching it, but the audience in this film are not, they're like a studio audience or something. They are whatever the movie needs them to be at the time, because at the end, Stallone doesn't do anything better than anyone else, and they fucking start like praising his ass.
That was so ridiculous.
It's like he's like, I want all the women to say yeah, and they're like yeah, and I'm like, what's going on
And he
right now?
continues singing just
I was
as
like,
badly as
this
he was
isn't
before.
country right now. He's like doing like
He turned
rock
into
or
Run
rap
DMC.
or something. Yeah, and then I was like, and then he starts like singing, and it's like, for some reason they start like loving it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
huh? This is another, I guess, connection. The way that Stallone drives his taxi is the way Ernest drives his fucking cab in Ernest Saves Christmas. People are like shifting around and shit. And I'm like, holy shit.
Did you think that Stallone and Dolly had chemistry?
I thought so, yeah.
I did too.
Yeah, I thought.
I mean, it wasn't like off the charts, but like I don't agree with Siskel and Ebert.
No,
They were like,
I mean,
"There's no chemistry."
yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know. I hate to like, and I'm not ripping on them because I think that like,
Well, that was the consensus at the time. Like this movie was a disaster, and they had no chemistry. But I don't agree with that.
no, I don't. I
I
agree
think
with
this movie
it at
is a
all.
disaster.
I
but-
think that the reason why this movie is even watchable is because they have chemistry. I think that like Dolly Parton's like singing is legit
Oh yeah.
as hell, and like the whole reason why this movie works is because she's like the Mickey of this, and Rocky. Essentially, she's both characters. Because Stallone, it's like he plays like
And Adrian. She's all
Rocky
three
that sucks.
characters.
It's
Yeah.
like, this is not. But
I will
like,
say
okay.
I did enjoy watching him embarrass himself. Like it was fascinating.
No,
to
yeah,
watch.
for sure. I mean, I've never like when I watch like an actor, and if they go for it, it's one thing. I'd rather someone go for it and fail, and not, I guess not even fail, but like I think he knew what he was doing, than be like, you know, there's
Just
the
didn't work.
opposite of that where it's like, you know, on deadly ground, where, and then, not to like, you know, bring it up, but like
It's the ultimate example of a vanity project. gone
right,
wrong.
yeah, and I think that's why. But like that's also like watching that was also just as entertaining because it was like, I can't believe that there's no punchline to this. This is just one big joke, but
Yeah.
the person telling it isn't in on it.
Yeah.
Like,
I think when Stallone sings Drinkenstein
Yeah.
is like one of the finest moments of cinematic gold. It was amazing. Like I never knew.
I was like, what is going on?
Why
right
have I
now?
never seen that before? It was crazy.
It is kind of funny that I'd never even seen a clip of this before, which is so weird because you would think that this would be straight up meme
the
material.
number one song
but-
in America.
Yeah,
Drinkenstein.
yeah. There is, well, this isn't the only time, but I specifically, this is one of the other parts where I was like, when Stallone going back to when he's at his house and he's playing the piano. At one point he's like, yeah, and it's like still playing, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he was clearly not playing.
Right? But I just thought it was funny because I was just like... also, this movie's kind of like the reverse of Beverly Hillbillies because in this movie,
Yeah, exactly.
they go from the city to Tennessee to, like, you know, teach them how to be country, and in Beverly Hillbillies, it's the opposite. It's
Yeah, I
like,
thought the same thing.
bring the country to
Those are
the
cool.
city. And I was like, wait a minute.
Cool pick by you.
I didn't, like, know exactly what was going to happen in Rhinestone. I'd only ever seen the cover, and okay, Stallone is going to sing in this film. I have to watch this because I like Stallone. I like Dolly Parton, so, you know,
Me too.
what could go
I
wrong?
mean, I'm dunking on him. I love him as an actor. I just think this
Yeah.
is one of his worst performances, and it happens.
I think it's more so just like the fucking character he's
Yeah.
playing is it's all over the
Deeply
place.
annoying.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like, why would anybody like this character? He's just, but then there's parts where like I don't know, like at the end where Dolly Parton for no reason like dunks on him. That's like totally out of character for her character. That seemed like
She just had enough.
the movie needed, like, they had to put in that like second or third act downer kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then the hero rises again. And I was like, this movie didn't need it. This movie's already long enough.
Yeah.
For fuck's
It's way
when
too
I started
long.
watching this, I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. This
Yeah.
is like an hour and 50 minutes.
Why?
I'll tell you why, because there's fucking like 80 fucking musical performances in this, and
Like full songs.
yeah, and I'm like,
Do you want to hear a couple things of trivia though?
yeah, go ahead.
So Sylvester Stallone turned down the lead in Romancing the Stone and Beverly Hills Cop to do this movie.
Oh, wow.
A decision he later admitted that he deeply regretted.
And it wouldn't be the first time. Yeah. What'd he do? Like, Mama, don't shoot, and other shit
Stop
like that.
or my mom will shoot. Which I actually like that movie, but...
I've never seen it, but I remember him saying that's like one thing he regrets too or something, but I've never seen it. It might actually be pretty funny.
In an interview, Sylvester Stallone once said that if there were any films he wished he hadn't done, this was the one.
Holy shit.
So, guess he wasn't a fan.
Well, he has himself to blame for that. It's not like anyone put a gun to his head. He rewrote it, and, like, come on. Like, you know, this person directed it. At this point, Stallone is fucking in charge of this shit. Yeah. Like, he's a megastar. That's the whole reason why this movie got fucking made. At least, like I said, he was smart to be like, Dolly Parton is in this film, because she's, in my mind, she's a great actor too. She was like, she has everything that you need to be an actor. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, I'm always like doing movies to be a great actor, because she has stage presence, and that's just as good as being an actor, and she uses it to full extent in this film.
Yep.
To play the character that she needs to play.
I agree. You mentioned the director is Bob Clark, the director of Black Christmas and A Christmas Story.
Black Christmas Story.
Two way better movies.
Yeah. Christmas Story. We'll have to do that one point, or will we? I'll make you eat soap.
I've never seen that movie.
And then you'll shoot my fucking eye out with a BB gun. I'm like, Jesus. I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember liking it, but I remember like TNT or TBS played it every year they play it nonstop, so it's become like a fuck this kind of thing. Kind of like Elf, they do that too, and I'm like, murder me! I'm like, I have to watch it. What'd you think about the animals fleeing and Stallone singing?
That was funny.
They were an interpretation of the audience, essentially. And then we got Doll Man showing up and singing. I didn't know he was a singer.
I didn't either.
I was
Tim
like,
Thomerson as Barnett Cale.
Yeah.
I was happy to see him pop up.
Yeah, I was too. I was like, holy crap, dude.
Doll Man himself.
Yeah. I didn't recognize him. He was too big.
Yeah. Like, how'd he grow so large?
Yeah. Also, like, in Doll Man, how did he keep his voice to be... I don't think that's something we ever talked about, but how did he keep his voice from not being, like, high-pitched?
Chipmunk style?
Yeah! That would have been ridiculous. This line was, like, fucked up, where he was like, what's it like to shoot up a bunch of heroin? And I was like...
That cracked me up, dude.
I was laughing, but I was like, what?
Yeah.
I guess we've kind of... Have we kind of, like, really talked in depth about it? Like, what did you think about, like, Stallone singing just in general in this film?
It was awful.
Yeah.
Like, he can't sing. It's clear.
Yeah.
I wish it would have been Frank. Or at least Frank should have dubbed his voice or something. Like, it was horrible.
I mean, you wish it would have been fucking Frankenstein rather than fucking...
Drinkenstein.
Yeah, I don't...
Like you, I thought it was so stupid at the end, like, when he won the crowd over. I'm like, how? He's not doing anything different. I
mean, I don't know. It's hard for me because I guess I'll give it to him because he's, like, going for it. But it's so obvious that, like, there was no, like, vocal coaching or anything. Like, he was just winging it. And I was just like, could they not have, like, I mean, like, either done that or been, I mean, I guess hats off to him for fucking, like, saying, fuck it, I don't want to, like, have my brother be, like, a stand-in voice for me. But, like, in a big Hollywood movie that, like, you know, if he wasn't in charge of it and it was, like, someone else, they would have totally, like, dubbed him. But at the same time, it's kind of interesting to see, like, you know, this is fucking Stallone singing voice, and he can't really... It's not, like, the worst shit I've ever heard. It's just kind of, like... you can tell that he doesn't do this for a living and stuff, which is fine. It's just, I mean, I guess I'm being nice on him because I like him so much, but, like, I don't know.
I hate to, like, I thought this movie was a total disaster, but, like, I was fully entertained the whole, it was like watching a train wreck happen, you know?
I also think that, like,
I'm glad it exists.
The songs that maybe he was singing this weren't exactly his forte. These were not, I don't know, like, yeah. But I mean, I guess it kind of fits with if you try to take somebody that doesn't know how to sing and fucking make them into a singer in 2 weeks, the outcome is realistic, but what happened at the end is not.
Mm-hmm.
You can always tell when old Barnett's been over to my house, the toilet's never flushed and the cats are pregnant. Some dude in the ADR says, "That's old Barnett right there." I was like, what? That was like one of the lines in the film that I was like, fucking like, I didn't understand. I was like,
Huh?
and I really didn't want to because I was like, huh? It is funny, like you were saying about like Dolly Parton. Whenever she comes in, she essentially like saves the song from Stallone.
Totally.
He's singing and she's just like, "Come here."
I got you. There was one set of footprints when Dolly was
Yeah, pretty much. The second song with like Parton and Stallone is like, I feel like a little better from Stallone. I think it's because he's able to like harmonize with her and stuff. Like that's probably his best performance in this film as far as singing goes.
I maintain Drinkenstein. I just like saying Drinkenstein.
That song sucks. Well, it probably doesn't suck, but him singing it is like a little rough. So Nick comes back to New York and his family. Did you see what they were singing?
Mm-mm.
You should know what they were singing.
What
man.
was it?
Mash 'em to the factory. Now they're history. A little wham and now you're jam. That's the way you do it when you play the Great Escape.
Dude, nice.
They were singing that. I mean, obviously that's not.
A little wham and now you're jamming.
Yeah.
Dude, nice.
Because I remember you had that game or whatever,
Yeah.
the Grape Escape game, and I had to look this commercial up because I was like, dude, I haven't seen this shit in forever. And it's like horrifying. They're like cutting them up and like smashing these like claymation people, and I'm like,
They're getting mutilated.
but like, yeah, they're singing some song. Well, he like comes back and they're like, yeah, you're the shit, and I'm like, he's been gone for 2 weeks, and they think he's like his parents are pretty, like, it's weird. It's like for the whole movie, they're like, dude, you need to make something of yourself. But then he comes back after 2 weeks, and like, they are like, you're the best. After, like, I'm like, what is this? Who wrote this shit? Like, this is all over the place.
Yeah, it really is.
This is what I was talking about earlier. This part was weird. Like, Stallone, she's like, you can get your cab back. And he's like, I don't want that now. I want to become, like, a singer and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But then, like, she goes, like I said, against character. And, like, she essentially, like, shoots herself in the foot for no reason. And it's just, like, it takes more than 2 weeks to become, like, a singer. And, like, even if it was... Like, also, like, you're led to believe at this point, like, they're in love, so why would, if you really like somebody, why would you just shit on them like that?
It's just poor writing. It's like sitcom level.
Well, I think it's like, yeah, like
happiness.
it's you needed a second act downer, but
Yeah.
this movie didn't need it. It was essentially in the home stretch, and it's just like they just had to get the, like, for no reason they thought they needed to get in this last little bit where, like, she goes to the dude's apartment and, like, is gonna call it off and all this bullshit, and I'm like, dude, you could have just cut all this crap and just been like, just do the thing at the end where, like, he wins and fucking
let us go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There is something kind of funny though when she goes to his apartment. He like starts playing this music, and it's like the music they play outside of Jungle Gyms. It's like, hey, boys and girls. It's like, wow. I'm like, huh? And then like
The most erotic of music.
well, the next scene was weird because like she instantly seems to regret it. She's like, I treated him awful, and I'm like, these like don't connect. Like this doesn't make any sense.
Plot reasons.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, whoa, holy shit, my fucking notes are going nuts. They were like, like, my notes are trying to get me out of this fucking movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, we were talking about Siskel and Ebert. I had some of the stuff where, we were kind of talking about how, like, I think that, I don't think that, like, I don't know. I guess, like, they did have, like, obviously this movie is, like, we criticize it and stuff, so there are things to criticize about it, but some of the stuff they talked about I felt weren't the things I would criticize it for.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
They were, like, talking about how, like, they're, like, the sex scene is, like, something you could play at, like, a Sunday school, and I was like, yeah, they're not gonna fucking show a fucking full-on sex scene in a movie, like, and then, like...
family comedy.
it's like sometimes I watch these and I'm like, sometimes I'll be like, oh, you know, they like one of them will get it or they'll both kind of understand, like, or not understand, but you know what I mean. I'm like, oh, okay, I think they saw what other like I saw or something. But like this one, it was like there is stuff to not like about this movie, but like I just thought it was weird how they were talking about how like they were afraid to touch each other, and I was like, I kind of felt like that was like the tension of a relationship building up. It wasn't that they were like they don't have characters, and I'm like, if anything, this movie has too much character from Stallone. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It's like, tone it down.
Yeah. But yeah, those were the kind of the things I was like, but they didn't talk about it for long. The second clip they played was fucking longer than I think they talked about. I was like, dude, is this really necessary to, like, you think the clip's gonna end and it just keeps going, and I'm like, dude, I just
back in the day their
film.
clips were long as hell.
It's like, come on, is that just so they didn't have to talk about the film? Like, what the fuck? But like not to dunk on them, there were definitely things that I agreed, like, you know, that yeah, this movie, it's a little weird.
For me, it's a total 7.95, as much as we've criticized it, because I just like Stallone and Dolly Parton so much. You know, that was enough to keep me highly entertained through this movie, even though it was terrible.
I think, like, if this movie had cut out, like, I don't know, if they cut this movie in half, it probably would have been...
Yeah, get it down to at least 90 minutes.
I think that's the biggest issue with this film, and it's something they did even... maybe they did talk about it, maybe they didn't, but, like, that's one thing that I complain about on this film. Not all films, all films, I'm like, you know, sometimes they can deserve a longer runtime and stuff, but this is like, it just feels bloated. Like, there's, like, we were talking about, like, the downer of the second part, or almost the home stretch, and they add another act onto it for no reason.
Yep. And,
like, there's too many... I mean, I understand this is a musical, but, like, I feel like this wasn't something Dolly Parton decided to do. I feel like this is something that, like, Stallone was like, we gotta have a bunch of songs in, because, like, if this was probably up to Dolly Parton, she would have picked, like, 3 or 4, or even made, like, a song for the thing. If she didn't, it was, like, the standout song, because they have, like, essentially 2 finale songs in this, where, like, he sings, and then, like, after he's done singing, she comes up on stage and he wins twice. And it's like, So, I don't know. This movie had, like, a kind of an issue with, like, pacing and a bunch of other stuff, but I do agree. I mean, I think it was, like, an entertaining thing, and, like, the chemistry of the 2 leads were not in question for me, so.
This is a so bad it's good.
Yeah. And I don't think there was any, like, there wasn't anything I was, like, watching that I was like, dude, this is fucking...
offensive.
Well, except for a couple of parts with Stallone, but, like, that's just, I think his character was, like, annoying in certain spots, but, like, the supporting cast, like, Dolly Parton's, like, dad.
Yeah, Richard Farnsworth, that guy's awesome.
The one dude that, like, played the sleazy guy, like, he was doing great in his role. I mean, his character fucking was gross, but, like, you know, he was, like, a fucking nasty bastard. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's a good film. Well,
perfect movie.
Yeah,
10 stars.
100%. Yeah, I think it's like a 7.95 for me. Like,
nice. Yeah, I'm glad you picked it, because I probably never would have watched it otherwise.
I wouldn't have either if I hadn't picked it. I'm like, I would have went to my grave happy, and now I'm in hell. Should
we talk about Beverly Hillbillies?
Yeah, because I'm dressed as Jed Clampett.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Please. So this was the movie that you missed out on.
Yeah,
with your family.
For whatever reason, I was not interested in when it came out.
But I just think that story's so funny.
Yeah, I really don't know
that
why.
you were like, nope.
I was like, nope.
You just stayed home.
I'll stay here and pout.
You just watch a wall. And you're like,
but I've really wanted to see it in recent times, because it's, like, not available unless you get a used DVD somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this was a thing where I had to kind of share my collection with you and stuff, because sadly both of these are kind of like not. It's even weirder for the Beverly Hillbillies, because, like, this is like a like, now that this is under, like, Disney ownership, you would think that they would put this on Disney Plus, because this is a total like even though it's not 100%, it's almost like it's like Fox, but it's like that Touchstone feeling of, like, it's under Disney, where it's like it's cozy, but it has like that edge to it with like people getting flipped off and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like an earnest film. So I don't know why they don't. It's weird.
Can I run down the box office real quick?
Yeah.
So this came out in 1993, summer or fall, and it came in second place its opening weekend. And first place was Demolition Man.
It didn't get first place because you didn't go.
Yeah. Couldn't get it quite over the hump.
Yeah.
But also out at the time, Cool Runnings,
Oh, dude.
Judgment Night, The Fugitive.
Judgment Night. I've never heard of that film before.
That's a pretty good one.
There you have it. Never even heard of it, but Judgment.
Free Willy, Mr. Nanny,
Dude,
Gettysburg.
holy shit.
Jurassic Park, and Nightmare Before Christmas.
Damn. Dude, that's so funny that that was the movie I didn't see with my family. Was Nightmare Before Christmas. They went and I was like, nope. Me and you both were doing
Probably
our
just
boycotts.
stayed home and played Street Fighter 2.
I stayed home and was scared of fucking Jack Skellington. Dude, Free Willy, I think I have that on VHS, like the Disney one.
I saw that in theaters.
Did you?
But not Beverly. Like, why?
It's funny, there's a lot of movies that came out like that, where were like this, where it was like Beverly Hillbillies, Free Willy, like, you know, a bunch of those kinds of films where it's just like, this was like family, but also like stuff in it that was for grown-ups.
Family movies weren't just CG animated. Like, they were actual movies.
Yeah. Well, family movies now aren't for families, they're for like kids, so it's like, not all, but like, you know, sometimes it's like, yeah, like this movie, it's like, there's stuff that if I had seen it at the, like, when it came out in theaters, I'd be like, huh? Like, because like the whole flip-off thing, like, I'm like, what?
Yeah. That is pretty edgy for PG back in the day. But it was funny.
Yes.
So did Beverly Hillbillies hold up for you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was watching this and I was like, dude, this is fucking awesome. Because I remembered, like, really liking this back in the day. It kind of reminded me of, like, watching, like, The Sandlot or, like, Mighty Ducks or Dennis the Menace or something and being like, you know.
I think those all came out, like, this same year.
Yeah, I had that same feeling and I was just like, but I was worried. I was like, how's this going to hold up? I mean, I know, like, I like pretty much everybody in the cast, so I wasn't like...
The cast is pretty darn good in this movie.
I wasn't like... Yeah, I guess let me go ahead and go down the cast. Jim Varney as Jed Clampett. Diedrich Bader as Jethro. Dabney Coleman as, I think that's Mr. Drysdale. Erica
Eleniak.
Thank you. As stripper. No. Ellie Mae. Cloris Leachman doing her fucking granny in this. Rob Schneider as a fucking the copy guy from SNL.
Yeah.
Leah Thompson as some
Laura Jackson,
shiesty bitch, and Lily Tomlin as the awesome. I don't know. She did a great job as
Jane
that
Hathaway.
Yeah.
She was my favorite part of this whole movie. She was.
Yeah, she does.
Her character was
great.
so bizarre. Like, she made weird choices, and it was great.
Well, I think that's exactly how her character was in the show.
True.
Well, I think that's my biggest like thumbs up for this is because like all the characters were pretty.
They're really the cast does a really great job.
You know, Jim Varney is great as like he's very subdued, but he's playing
it's the character,
Jed Clampett. Yeah, and Diedrich Bader is Jethro. It's like
and Jethreen.
Yeah, dude. Cloris Leachman. Yeah, she was
hilarious,
dude. She was
crushing it.
I was like, this is like a modern day. You know, you can't get any better for the casting. I mean, there are other movies we watched that they do that too, and it's great. But like, this is, you know, I was like, holy crap. I think at the time I always thought it like, I don't know, like Erica, like when I didn't really know her, so like when I watched this I was like when I was a kid I was like, I don't really know.
This has to be one of her bigger roles.
Yeah.
But I thought she was really good in this. I liked her a lot.
Yeah, she was pretty good. I think it's still interesting because like even in the show like everybody kind of got like their episodes and stuff, but I think that like if anything, Ellie Mae was probably like the least fleshed out character.
Yeah.
But her character is, you know, that she's a super strong woman. But anyway,
yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I do have some criticisms like
you're like it wasn't long enough.
Well, there's just so much time was spent on the plot like it forgot to be about the Beverly Hillbillies, fish out of water story.
You
by the
talking
second
about
half
like
of the movie.
the stuff with Rob
Leah
Schneider?
Thompson and
Yeah,
like,
I think so. Like
Leah Thompson should have been top billed in this movie.
So-
It was like her story.
even when I was younger and I watched this, like that was the one thing about this like film that like, even though I still really liked it and stuff, I was always like, why did they have to do like a plot about like someone trying to steal their money? That was so like overdone. Like
Yeah.
they did it in like Tommy Boy, they did it in like all these other films where there was
Even
somebody,
Addams Family.
right?
Yeah.
That was something I thought of too, where like that weird relationship between Rob Schneider and like Leah Thompson, where like he has to pay for like sex almost, like
Yeah.
Fester does, and I'm like, it's just weird. It's like it was fine. I mean, it wasn't like the best, but it was like I'd seen it in Addams Family, and I thought it was weird there, but it worked because Addams Family is weird.
Mm-hmm.
This is just like I don't want like Rob Schneider. I was like, I want to kill this fucking
Yeah, he
character.
sucked. I mean, Leah Thompson was
He's pretty
fine.
annoying in a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
sometimes you can get away with it because like he's like the fucking like butt of the joke, like in what is it, like Judge Dredd and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but in this, it was just like, dude, you're taking time away when I could be watching like Jim Varney or
Yeah,
Diedrich Bader or
totally.
like even like Mr. Drysdale, like the driest character in this film. I'd rather be watching him than the stupid like shtick he was doing with like the fucking water cooler. And I was like, this
It kind
is
of
fucking
pissed me
stupid.
off quite a bit by the end of the movie. Like,
Yeah.
And Leah Thompson, she was fine, but I hope you like her doing a funny French accent because
Yeah.
it's like half the movie. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus. So, other than that, though,
Yeah.
I really like this movie.
Well, the thing that we both
funny as hell.
agree on, that it's just like, I think that if anything, the plus that comes from like her being like the love interest is you get to see Jim Varney flex his like acting muscles besides like being like a goofy character. Like any scene with him, with her, or like Ellie Mae is just like, holy shit,
Yep.
you know, this guy, if he was still like alive, I think that like there would have come along a role where he would have got like a fucking award or something.
Oh, totally. I
Because
agree.
he was starting to do more dramatic stuff. He hadn't done Ernest in a while, and I'm sure he might have done Ernest stuff here and there, but like, you know,
He's a fantastic actor.
right. So like, yeah.
Speaking of talent, he's super talented.
Yes. Speaking of a man in a bear suit.
Dude, I knew I was in good hands when this happened. That was so awesome. That was probably my favorite part of this whole movie. The bear just like takes a swing.
Your favorite part of the movie is the very beginning. Jesus.
It went from a real bear to a guy clearly
Yeah.
cut to a guy in
Yeah.
a bear suit, standing like straight up like a human.
It was like
taking a
Shaggy
swing.
Dog style.
That was so funny.
It was
dude.
like, Jesus.
And
I
then
know
when
there'd be a
she-
lot of stuff in this movie you would probably think was hilarious, like the flipping off scene, the whole like gun scene. It's
Yep.
just like that's
all
the-
that stuff worked great.
Oh
I
yeah, for
loved it.
sure. That's the stuff that I liked in this movie, like the Clampett stuff, because it's like it always works for me in a movie for the most part where it's like a fish out of water kind of deal.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It seems almost like a missed opportunity that they got so far away from
a,
that,
a little
the
bit,
second
yeah,
half of
like
this
into
movie.
the weeds with the fucking shit. It's like this line at the beginning, Mr. Clampett, there's more petroleum in your swamp than there is in the whole of Kuwait, and he's like, that bad, huh? And it's like,
Good stuff.
like that one line is better than any of the fucking shit that happens with Rob Schneider in this film.
I couldn't agree more.
Then
when Granny gets annihilated off the back of the truck, dude, that was like a
yeah, she
stand
gets
up and cheer
fucking
moment.
like
It was
tree
so
clothesline. They like kill the fuck out of her.
it was like super dance
Yeah.
style. It was awesome.
I have to give this movie super props though, because within the first 8 minutes, they've not only done all the credits, they do the backstory, and they're already on their way to Beverly Hills, which is funny because that's one of the fucking things that they rip on in the Siskel and Ebert review. That like, why didn't they just do it in the credits? And I was like,
Did you watch the movie?
what? They did. They played the credits. That's what I'm always like. I mean, I don't always complain about it, but that's like that. This was used effectively as you're showing credits here and there. They're showing you something. You're not just watching a fucking black screen and bullshit comes and And of course, when they're on their way, like we already talked about, like somebody flips them off, so they think, oh, that's like how people say hello. So they're like, yeah. And I was just like, dude, I forgot about that.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course the movie fucking kind of takes a nosedive with Rob Schneider and Leah Thompson playing like money scheming people, and everyone's like, what's going on here? Like, then we get back to Ellie Mae spitting from a moving vehicle. This was like, I was like, did you write this? Because it was like, Ellie Mae, don't spit from a moving vehicle. Wait till it stops. And I was like,
all those jokes killed for
yeah,
me, like so good.
And then they're eating on a pool table and putting their like chicken bones in the fucking corner
That was
pockets.
from one of the episodes. I remember that because
Yeah.
my dad was a huge fan
Yeah.
of this back in the day. Like he'd seen every episode. And,
Yeah.
you know, the
Well, I
pool
think
table
that's
one
why
was a
if
classic.
you've seen the show or like know about the characters or like the idea at all, like regardless of like the Rob Schneider crap, like I think like it's still a great adaptation because like
they think the pool cues are for like passing stuff around the table.
Yeah.
So funny.
just like they take all the stuff from the show and like, you know, they're not like the stupids where they're too stupid to wipe their own ass, but like they've never been to a place that has like, you know, like they go to the bathroom in an outhouse, so you know, like that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, this was like a family thing. So back then this was a family thing. Like there would be no flipping people off in a family movie nowadays, but like they didn't show anybody trying to use the restroom or anything like that. So I bet you love this scene. This always cracked me up. Jethro's like trying to figure out how to bowl. And he's like, I think I got this thing figured out. You got to throw the ball down the gully, then you throw yourself down the other gully and try to hit the snake bashing clubs before the ball does. And everyone's like, oh yeah, because like in their family, even though he's like an idiot, he's the only one that's ever like got past the 6th grade.
Yeah.
So like then they like cut away and they cut back and they have like a monkey and he fucking gets a strike and he's like and I was like, dude.
Yeah, I did love that. You're
Yeah,
right.
it was great. There was a lot of like stuff with Jethro in this. I forgot how much he's in this film, which is I'd rather have him than fucking the random bullshit they had. But Jethro smashes the wall thinking Miss Hathaway's inside, and then he's like, I'm like, dude, this is horrifying.
He was really good, Diedrich Bader. Like between
I love
this
him, dude.
and Office Space,
Yeah.
those are two like legendary.
He's also
comedy
taken up the
performances.
mantle of playing Batman in like animated shows now.
Oh, nice.
He's really good.
He was also in Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh yeah, make it quick but make it sexy.
Then say we all had a lovely
Yeah,
tea party.
Drew Carey. You already said Drew Carey show, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah. He was him and I think Ryan Stiles were like his friends or whatever in that. But Diedrich Bader, I've seen him in a lot of stuff. You know, over the years, I always thought he was really good, and he always does great. And what role he's given, and he fucking knocks it out of the park here as his character, and yeah. So I hate to like keep harping on it, but that's like another thing I thought was kind of weird that they were like, his acting in this is just bad.
Yeah.
Siskel said that, and I was like, what? Like,
Wrong again.
he's fucking great in this film, and like, it seemed like Ebert really never watched the show or didn't like it, but Siskel at least knew of it because he talked about how like the other guy was way better and brought heart to it, and I was like,
Buddy Ebsen?
no, the guy that played Jethro.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Max
like,
Baer.
I mean, I've seen both, and they're both like the same character. It's not like I'm like he's not doing some ridiculous shit where I'm like, yeah, what's going on right now? This was the only thing I think that happened that what's his face Rob Schneider did in the entire film that I laughed at. He's talking to fucking Leah Thompson on the phone, like trying to be like sexy with her or whatever. And he accidentally like goes over to his boss and he's like, I've got my hand on your butt and I'm squeezing. And his Mr. Drysdale's like, Tyler! And I was just like, what the fuck? I forgot about that. But like the only reason why that was funny is because the way he said, I'm squeezing. I was like, huh? It's probably didn't even mean to say it that way. Mr. Drysdale's son turns into Beavis when he sees Ellie. He's like, oh, oh. Did you notice that? I was like,
I didn't
what?
notice Beavis, but
He was like, oh, oh.
His reaction was really funny.
Dude, the way he dresses in this film was like, what the fuck? Like,
I couldn't even tell what kind of hat he had.
Yeah, he had like a...
It was like a Scully
bucket hat that was like that had like
a small
camo or leopard print on it, and it was like, I almost thought, I was like, was this his own brand or something? Like, what is this? Because even when they go to like a fancy thing like the wedding, he's wearing that, and I'm like, eh. The electronic whittler, or it's like a pencil sharpener.
Good stuff.
I was like laughing at that because like I'm pretty sure that like, because I had like relatives that like my grandparents kind of came from this area, so like they probably thought pencil sharpeners that were electric were like, holy shit. I thought this was kind of like, even when I was younger, like I understood what they were going for here, but like for this being like a family movie where she's like doing her French accent and she's like, all women know, and it's supposed to be happiness is hard to find, but she says it like a penis is hard to find. Mm-hmm. And I was like, like, I thought it was funny, but also I was like, thinking about it now, I'm like, kids are watching this fucking movie, what the fuck? But like, his reaction, he does like The Rock, he's like, fucking Spock over here. He's like, oh. He's like, oh, happiness. I'm like, what'd you think about like Miss Hathaway's like relationship with Jethro? She's like wanting him hardcore.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Like Lily Tomlin stole this movie.
Yeah, she's legit.
Really funny.
She was loving
that scene where she describes her programming. That was amazing. Like, so
she's
weird.
like describing it like sexually.
Yeah. Using all these big words.
Yeah.
I was like, man,
he's like,
this is awesome.
She's like, you are so exquisitely Neanderthal or savage. And I'm like she's like, ravage me. I'm like, Jesus. But yeah, I think that like, it's just, there's not like a single person from like the main cast that are like from the original show that they fucked up. Like Mr. Drysdale only gives a fuck about money, and then like when the Clampetts are like, you know, they're like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. He's like, that's what I was thinking. Like he kisses their ass because he's got their money, and like, you know, just all the other characters are just so well done. Like Granny is fucking out of control and stuff like that.
Granny was always my favorite character
she's
on the
legit.
show. I wish she was in this movie more, but every time she is,
I feel like if this movie had gotten a sequel, it would have been even better because they wouldn't have had the stupid fucking plot with the fucking people.
I agree. It really tarnishes this movie.
Stud Farm misunderstanding.
That was hilarious.
Multiple partners.
That
like,
cracked me up.
It was Mr. Drysdale. He's like, Mr. Drysdale got real excited when he told me. I bet he did. And I was like, Jesus. This movie even this style reminded me a lot of like the Munsters back in the day, because there's a part where there's a motorcycle segment with like Granny riding it, and they like fast forward the fucking shit, and they even do that like later when they get away from the like insane asylum.
Yeah,
so
loved it.
Good stuff. So there's going to be a fight in the gym, and like people are getting faxes, and there's even like a warning on PCs that come up, and I'm like, eh. I was like,
that was like the standard 90s joke.
Right. I was like, I think they like played it up even more here, like for like parody effect, which I appreciated. I was just like,
yep, that was awesome.
They knew it was stupid, but they went with it. Jethro's monster truck, he like, Diedrich Bader must have broke his fucking ankles. He jumps from the driver's fucking seat to the ground. And I'm like, that's not how you usually get out of a monster truck. He's like, ah!
I was quite impressed by that. I was like, I hope he stretched before he did that.
Yeah, he stretched his ankles.
Yeah, break your ankles. Sushi,
calamari, caviar. What? Speak American. I was like, eh. What'd you think about... I just have so many notes about, like, Jethro, because he's in... They just filmed scenes with him in this, and somehow they all work. Like, it's not like... You know what I mean? They could be anywhere in the film, but they still work because they're just gags, but, like, where he orders a Subway, and he's like, so you're telling me I can call you whenever and you'll bring me a sandwich? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, ugh. I always remember that being like hilarious and being like, man, that makes me hungry. I'm like, that's hungry.
Any scene where there's food, he's just like eating as fast as he possibly can. Or sorry, not food, vittles.
Yes. Yeah, he's like,
you gonna eat your vittles?
Yeah, he's eating 24/7, dude. I like the parts between Ellie and Jed, like where he's like, it's like they do the heart-to-hearts in this like very well, because I think that like Jim Varney elevates like Ellie's like actress and stuff like that. I mean, I've never besides, like you said, this is her kind of her biggest role. In her other roles, she doesn't really do a
Under
ton.
Siege.
Yeah, as far as, you know what I mean, she does, but
Oh, she does.
but it's not an actual character. Like there's no heart-to-hearts between her and Steven Seagal.
The fact that she has to like act like she likes Seagal at the end of that movie, like, this is Oscar worthy. You know what I mean?
I love Seagal, but I know what you mean. But like him, I think his acting brought her up, and you know, it just works. And not to like, I'm not like she sucks, but like
Backhanded compliment
for her to be like in this film and go toe to toe with everybody. I think it's also a big compliment for her.
Yeah,
because, I mean, you look at all the other people, and it's like I had heard of all these other people, and I had never heard of her when I was a kid and stuff. And then even until you told me like, oh, she was in Under Siege, but even in that movie, it's like everybody knows what she's known for in that. To come
you know
and
how old Jim Varney was when he filmed this?
30,
41.
when they're talking together.
Yeah. Like, I love comedies. This is one of my favorite genres, but I just don't know what to say other than, like, it was really funny. Like, every joke landed.
Yeah.
I just wish the jokes per minute didn't, like, plummet in the second half.
Because,
you know?
yeah, I mean, that's
there
when
was
they
plot
really
to service.
They really ramped up, like, and it would have been different if it was like plot. Like, if it was any of the plots with
wasn't related
with the
to
Clampetts was fine. Like, the stuff with like Ellie Mae going to school and joining the team was great. There was stuff with like all the stuff Jethro was trying to do to help his husband, his uncle, find like a wife. Was great. Any of the stuff with like Mr. Drysdale and like Lily Tomlin was great with their stuff. And it's just weird that like Jed kind of was just there, like and same thing with Granny, like you said, it was just kind of like
she's barely in it.
I think they knew they were doing this. It almost feels like they filmed a bunch of stuff with Jethro because they were like, okay, we gotta like pad some of this out because this
just go, man.
Jethro, or not Jethro, but like Jed was so locked into the plot with like Leah Thompson that it was like, you know, I mean, they could have done other stuff with him, but like I don't know, it just kind of like his whole plot and Ellie Mae's were intertwined with like being like, you know, okay, I gotta find like a wife to help raise my daughter because she's like unruly and stuff like that. But then in the end, like he was like, you know what, you should just be who you are anyway, which was like super progressive for the time. And I was like, because, you know, and that was also like something that like they touched on here, is it's like they talk about how like his like wife and her mom had like died and stuff like that, and like you find out that like Granny is actually like was like the mom of Jed's like wife and stuff like that. So like they took her in and stuff, which I think that's always really cool and stuff like that. It just, like you said, it kind of sucks that it was just like why is all this Rob Schneider stuff happening right now? Dolly Parton, we talked about that, but she shows up to sing
that was great.
To Jed Clampett, and everybody's reaction is like, it's like they're fucking holy shit,
as they would be.
Yeah, and they're like, she starts singing, they're all like, yeah.
I forgot the scene where the Clampetts on the plane. That was cracking me up too.
Where they play dueling banjos from Deliverance.
Yeah. But Dolly Parton, it was funny because she's like, they paid me a lot of money to be here. And I was like, did she know they were filming?
Yeah, I always thought that was weird when I was a kid too, because she's like, happy birthday, Jed, Mr. Clampett, or whatever. They paid me a lot of money for me or something like that, and I was just like, it's the DPCU, it's Dolly Parton Cinematic Universe.
True.
But like she sings if you ain't got love, and it's like it's a pretty legit song. Like if you ain't got love, like it doesn't matter if you have like money and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It goes along with the theme of the movie too, and you know.
I wonder if it was a coincidence or not
Delight.
that 3 of the 4 leads from 9 to 5 were in this movie, because it's Dolly Parton, Lily Tomlin, and Dabney Coleman are like the main characters.
Maybe, yeah.
Or maybe they were just friends. But
I don't know. I'm like, was it maybe? Where's Stallone? He should have been in this. I would have rather had him be in it than fucking Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
Trade him out. Yeah, she was legit in this. Jethreen. This is another thing from the show.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't an uncommon thing. They even did it as, like late as like Family Matters, where they had one of the characters start doing multiple characters.
The height of comedy.
Yeah, where Jethro or Diedrich Bader plays his twin sister, Jethreen, who falls in love with Rob Schneider.
Hilarious.
Yeah. My only problem with that is like she should have came in way earlier and like killed him or something.
Just slits his throat.
Yeah. She's like, I'm like, holy shit.
I would have been like,
Jethreeninator. She's like, yeah. But yeah. I mean, how can you say that Diedrich Bader's acting fucking sucks? He played 2 different characters in this film, and they both worked. Like, come on. Like, at least I thought they both worked.
I couldn't agree more.
You're like, you're wrong. I'm like, no. But like, the electroshock therapy, I was like, what? Like, yeah, look, she's a perfect candidate, like, for electroshock therapy, and I was like,
how?
eh. It's like fucking torturing somebody over here. Speaking of the plane, when all the kids are spitting chaw,
Yeah.
I was like, what do you think about Buddy Ebsen's like original, like old character Barnaby Jones, the detective, showing up? I thought that was
Amazing.
a legit.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't believe that. Like they were like, I forgot about that, and I was like, dude, like, it's like not only is this movie like fan service to the people that watch the film, it's like fan service to people that are fans of the actors of the original show.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know how much better they could have. Well, besides get rid of the one plot, but like, you could tell that like it's like when we watch Speed Racer, you could tell the people that like made it were fans. I was thinking like if they couldn't have got Buddy Ebsen, it would have been cool if they would have like got Columbo. I was like, dude.
Crossover.
Yep. Even though, like,
I didn't know that he was Barnaby Jones. Like, I didn't know anything about that show. I'd heard the title before.
yeah,
but
it's kind of like Andy Griffith, where he like played Matlock or
That's
whatever.
cool.
Like, went on to do like have a second career or whatever. This is kind of random, but like one of the things I always kind of remember about like Buddy Ebsen is that like when the person that played the original Lily Tomlin character, she like ran for like, I guess like a political office.
Oh, really?
He came out and was like, fuck that, don't vote for her.
Dude, Jesus.
And she lost.
Harsh.
But I can't remember what's, like if it was what side they were on, but I just remember being like, because I think I saw that on like a documentary at one point about the Beverly Hillbillies and being like, Jesus! Like he was like, fuck her. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. And they were like, of course everyone's like, yeah, like sides with like Jed Clampett or whatever.
I was thinking of the legendary story where he was the original Tin Man.
Yes, and he had like that horrible reaction to the fucking
Almost died.
like death paint they were using. What'd you think about the Bill Clinton cameo?
Another standard 90s joke.
Also,
It was
it's
fun.
totally dating this.
It got me. It worked.
Yeah, I was cracking up.
Cousin Bill or
Like, Hillary, where's the invitation? I was like, pretty sure if you were the president, you could just show up. You wouldn't need an invitation, but I don't know why I wrote this down, but I thought it was kind of a weird thing to just put in the movie. But like, the son says she's getting fat, like talking about the dog, and I was like, huh?
Okay.
Yeah, because that's another plot, the 2 dogs end up having puppies. Yeah, they turned Granny into like Fester with the fucking electroshock therapy, and then she's like, like, and then like she drinks like her tonic and fucking straight up destroys a fucking straitjacket. She's like, yo! I was like, good lord!
Granny's in her cups again.
Granny was like the, she was like the character on that show that was like, could be anything they wanted her to be, so. Diedrich Bader kisses the shit out of Rob Schneider. I was like,
went for it.
I was like, did you like the credit outtakes?
That was my favorite part of the movie.
I always like, yeah, multiple favorite parts of the movie. I always enjoy whenever they put outtakes in credits.
I maintain every movie should have outtakes in the credits. Period.
Even Schindler's List.
Even Schindler's List. I just love it so much. And these were great outtakes. Like, they're hilarious.
I would assume a movie like super serious movies probably didn't have a lot of outtakes. But like this movie, obviously you could tell they were having fun. There was something that I saw that I never saw the multiple times that I watched this in the outtakes before. Did you catch this in the outtakes with Dolly Parton? So she's on, she does her line perfectly. And then off screen you hear someone say, Jim, hey dude, where are you, man? So like Jim Varney was not where he wasn't where he was supposed to be. Jim, hey dude, where are you, man? And I was like, and that like cuts, and I was like, so Dolly Parton's like outtake was that Jim Varney wasn't on time. It's like, huh? Like, sorry, you're guilty by association. Yeah, he's like, hey, Barton. Then at the end, did you realize that Jim Varney was singing? He sings Hot Rod Lincoln.
Dude.
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
Performed by Jim Varney featuring Ricky Skaggs.
That's awesome.
I was like, dude, holy shit. It's the only song I think that he's ever sang for like a movie or anything. And like I even tried to find if he ever had an album, and I didn't see anything, which is a shame because I thought he sang pretty damn good. And
that's awesome.
It's also, I think it goes to show, like, if this was probably somebody else, that would have been in the film. But like, I'm sure he was like, he didn't want to ruin the illusion that like randomly Jed Clampett would be singing.
Yeah.
But I would have appreciated it. I would have loved to see him like sing.
Yeah, dude.
But I honestly was kind of surprised. I could have sworn there was a part where he was playing the banjo or something, or guitar, but he doesn't in the film. But I guess that was something I just probably because there were so many banjos and guitars in this that I thought that happened. So
Mandela effect.
That's true. It's weird that like that's a thing because there have been total times when I was like, dude, I could have sworn like that something happened, like that whole thing in Day of the Dead where people swear that like Dr. Logan gets up at the end of the film and stuff, and it's with Bub, but I think that's just people's wishful thinking because they're like, you never see him get shot in the head, so like technically he would have gotten back up, but you never see it. So anyway, I'm like a total comedy. Another thing, I mean, I guess I don't know, we don't have to go into this, but I just want to talk about like some of the stuff that I think that like Siskel and Ebert were talking about that got right, and then stuff that they were kind of like, at least for me, I thought was a little weird, where they were talking about how like Jim Varney was wasted in like a scene where he was talking to Ellie Mae, and they were like, it could have been funnier, and I was like, it's like a heart-to-heart about how like
that's like the one scene that gives the movie
they're like could have been funnier and smarter, and I was like, what? They're talking about how like, ever since your mother died, like I've had to raise you on my own, and it's like, what the fuck did you want him to do in that scene? Like, and that's pretty much the only. This is the other part that I thought was really weird. So they're talking about like ideas for what like they would have rather seen. Of course, they never bring up like Rob Schneider, which I was kind of shocked. But they were like, I would love to see them take Clampets to a phone sex operation and give Granny a makeover. I'm like, what?
It's like, how's that gonna work?
Yeah, I was like, also like, what are you talking about? I'm glad you aren't making movies like this. I didn't understand that part of it. That was Siskel, and I was like, maybe that's yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't think of too many times I've seen where they dismissed a movie like quicker than this.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
they
because
didn't bring up one positive.
because they said like worst movie ever made, and then like Siskel said one of the funniest things I've ever heard, where he says these out of fish characters, and Ebert said or out of water fish or out of fish water, and then they started going on to like the next like film, and Siskel's like, at least it was a movie. He's like, calm down. I was just like, Jesus, like they fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was almost funny how like out of control it was, the hate, because like Ebert was like, yeah, this is based on some stupid fucking show, fuck this. And Siskel's like, I seen it back in the day, and then at the end he was like, fuck it. And I was like, so, but I do think that like the criticisms we were talking about, like, definitely are kind of a definite bullshit for it, because the things you love to see the most in this are like the Clampetts, pretty much everybody but Rob Schneider, and like even Leah Thompson could have worked if she was like a genuine love interest for like Jed and been like toned down a bit, but like Rob Schneider's like slimy character was like this. He feels like every time he's in a movie, this is the character he played, and it was like, how's this guy keep getting in movies? Like, this is just an annoying character. Stallone did it one time for fucking Rhinestone, but anyway.
Yeah, that's when I think back on this movie, I'll remember how funny it was, but also like it still kind of feels like
How
a missed
you were just kind of
opportunity.
like, what the fuck? Yeah.
So, but it's a total 7.95 for me.
Nice.
I really enjoyed watching it. It was every joke landed for me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, all the stuff that they did with like the Clampetts. I mean, I guess that's pretty much what I've been saying. We've been saying for the past like however long we've been doing this, but I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
I love this film, and that's why I'm gonna give it a 9.95.
nice.
Nothing changed other than the stuff that I didn't like when I was a kid, like the stuff with Rob Schneider, but the other stuff that's what the biggest shame about this film, even though I'm like 9.95. It's like, I guess it couldn't get any better than a 9.95, but like this is a me 9.95. Like, you know, I think I'm like swayed from when I was younger and stuff. But like this is something that I would completely recommend to somebody if that shit wasn't in it. Like if Rob Schneider's stuff wasn't in it. Mm-hmm. Because the stuff that isn't them is like so much better than a lot of movies I've ever seen, that I'm like, dude, this just works. Like, so
Yeah, I agree.
you're like, just kidding. It sucks. Like, oh, I made this film.
Glad I finally got to see it after 30 years.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad that like I picked it so you could see that and Rhinestone. So
Yeah.
it was delightful.
All right.
And it was frightful. So what are we talking about for next week, Mamma Mia?
Next week, I've been wanting to do a Cynthia Rothrock movie, and it's time to do China O'Brien, which I haven't seen, so I hope it's a good one. But I really like Cynthia Rothrock, and I've been wanting to pick one of her movies, and this is one of the last big ones that I haven't seen. So
Nice.
And then we'll pair it with a show that I've been wanting to watch called Sledgehammer. So it's Cop Week.
Again. Sledgehammer
Yeah.
is what's his name? The dude from Peter
Gabriel.
Yeah, he's like
He might do the theme song.
He like a bunch of turkeys start dancing. It's like I'm like, oh, I kicked the habit. Nice. Okay, so I'll be 100% honest. I haven't heard of either one of these, which is fine. No, it's totally great. Who's Cynthia Rothrock sounds familiar, but like you're probably gonna have to like.
She's basically
know.
the female Jackie Chan.
Okay.
She's like
I thought that was Lucy Liu.
Well,
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know if Lucy Liu's a real martial artist.
You're like, I don't know if Lucy Liu's a real person. I think
Cynthia
you just made that
Rothrock,
up.
she's like a championship
Is
martial artist.
Do you know if there's something that like is there anything we've watched on the show that I've known her from? Or no? But that's fine. Not like I'm trying to like, Matt, I gotta fucking know this person. But you know me, I'm sometimes.
I mean,
a
she
little
never
bad
had
about.
her career was more huge in China.
Oh, okay,
Or
cool.
Hong Kong.
Kind of like
She never really made
Jackie
it in the
Chan. He
US.
like got big here eventually, but his Hong Kong. Yeah, okay, nice. Okay, yeah. I mean, I've heard of the name. I just don't like I said like I.
Yeah, I've just gotten into her in the past few years.
Okay.
So.
Nice. So I guess China O'Brien is maybe like an action film, or
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice. Okay, well,
We'll find out.
yeah.
I hope it's good.
Hopefully, we
I hope nothing happens.
hopefully we don't put these films in prison for being shit. No, I think they'll be good.
We'll see.
Yeah. You're like,
See you then. Bye.
I hope nothing happens.
Well, now it's time to say goodbye to Vince and all his kin. They would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You're all invited back again to this locality to have a heap and helping of their hospitality. Podcast, that is. Sit a spell. Take your shoes off. Don't come back now, you hear? Body shots.
9.95. Emotion is feeling so high. 9.95. In overdrive. Put your body in overdrive. 9.95.